Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Emix Radio. To my right, I have my co-host.
Jason, what's going on?
That's right. And to my left, we have our guest. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, everybody. I am Joni Llamedo.
Joni. Okay. So, Joni, I met you this past Thursday at a TOT thing, which is a Catholic organization. It's a young adult event, and you were singing. And you know what? I would just want to say you sing very beautiful, by the way.
Thank you.
Can you talk to us a little bit about how you got into the singing field?
Music has always been a huge family thing. We've always done it in church, so it's, not a surprise that that's how I met you. But yeah, my mom was the choir director and my dad is a singer. My sisters are both musicians and singers. And we've been doing it since we were really, really small, and we kind of just stuck with it, and it's just become a real passion.
That's so awesome. Yeah, so it definitely runs in the family.
Yeah.
So no karaoke parties like at Christmas or family
we're
gets together?
We're Filipino, of course.
Karaoke's a thing.
Yeah, because I have in-laws that are Filipino too, and so I mean I know like it's my brother's in-laws, but technically in-laws. But yeah, I remember the first time going over there, and I was thrown off because my family doesn't do anything like that. So the whole like karaoke thing, it was the full setup and everything, and I am definitely not a singer. I can't carry a tune. I couldn't carry a tune in a bucket, but but it's still fun. I mean, if I have a couple of cocktails, I'll definitely get up on the mic.
Yeah, I mean, the more you drink, the better you sound.
Of course, at least to myself.
No, I always tell people that at my gigs. I'm like, how's everybody doing? I hope I sound okay. If not, have a few more drinks.
So Theology on Tap is a good place to start.
Yes,
be performing.
very good.
Yeah.
All right, so anyways, every single Monday we try a brand new drink, and today I decided to bring Jack Daniel's Honey, Tennessee Honey. So, Jason, would you do the honors?
Of course, I'd be happy to.
Yeah, and basically, we try different things that we tried throughout the week to let the viewers know what we thought of it. And you know what? Have you ever had Jack Daniel's Honey by any chance?
I have.
You have? What do you think of it?
I like it. I used to get all the time the Honey Jack and Coke.
Oh, okay. You know what? I heard about that the other day. Let me tell you the history of how this started. I recently just started drinking. I'm 29 years old, and Jason can vouch for me. It's a new thing for me, so I haven't tried a lot of different things. So we decided to use the show as a template to, get me to try new things.
That is an awesome reason.
And it's great because we get to drink on the show every week, so it's not a bad way to go. And we've been trying, so everything a little bit different. Last week we had the Jack Daniel's Green Label, which was good. But I think we've all tried the honey before, but I'm definitely excited for it. So, cheers to you guys.
Cheers.
Cheers. It's definitely a lot sweeter at room temperature.
It is so sweet. I forgot to put it in the fridge.
No, it's fine. I mean, I don't mind whiskey at room temperature anyways. That's the way to go.
Oh.
I sip. Because we got a whole show to do.
We sip.
Yeah, I just kind of, I don't know, it's kind of it's just a tasting thing. Kind of let it sit on the palate a little bit. Cheers.
I should have told you that.
Oh, well.
No, but we tried we had Black Velvet whiskey in here. We were just doing straight shots then.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, we learned when we had the Black Velvet, we learned that this little line right here means one shot.
Yeah.
But I don't know how accurate that is.
Lines on the cups.
And that was coming from a bartender, but I still don't know how accurate that is. I mean, that can't be a shot, right?
I don't know, man. Well, hey, let me tell you a story. My sister got married this past Friday.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, it was, it's just a church, and she went to a restaurant afterwards. And we went to that restaurant. I ordered scotch for the first time.
Okay, what kind of scotch?
It was called Glenfiddich.
Glenfiddich?
Glenfiddich.
Do you know the age of it?
19 years old.
Okay, so that's from what I understand, what little bit I know about scotch, like you don't want to get anything less than 18 years. From what I understand, like a 15-year-old is a bit of a young scotch. From what I understand, I could be wrong, but I've been told. I've been told like Glenfiddich or Glenlivet are both two really ones, 18-year-old or older. Obviously, the older it gets, the more expensive. But how did you like it?
It was delicious, but here's the funny part. So I looked at the price, and it was $15, and I thought to myself, okay, so I'm gonna get a pretty good sized drink, and as they're bringing the cup, they brought a cup. They didn't even bring it in a shot glass. They
Did
brought
you have
a cup.
it neat or on the rocks?
It was neat.
Neat. Okay.
and it was less than this, man. It was just a shot
Uh-huh.
of scotch. It was less than this line right here.
Right.
And it was $15. It was a funny thing. I told the entire table, I was like, is this a sample or something? Or
Scotch is expensive.
Scotch is expensive. But anyways, back to our guest. Joni, talk to me about this. You brought a demo for us. So what's in here?
I have 8 originals on there
Okay.
and 2 cover songs. So
That's awesome.
It'll give you a good feel of, my whole vibe and all.
What are the cover songs you've got on there?
Stay With Me by Sam Smith and Simple Things by Miguel.
Okay.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Cool. All right. So I have a question for you. The originals, did you write them yourself?
I did the
Okay.
lyrics and the music.
Oh, you also wrote the music.
Yeah. Well, it's just pretty much putting the chords,
Okay. So you're a composer as well.
I wouldn't say.
Hey, why not?
Hey, sure.
And
I'll
was
put that
is
on my resume. No.
Is it just guitar? Do you have any kind of percussion on there, keyboard, anything else, or is it just straight like acoustic?
There are 2 tracks on there featuring other artists. One track is this reggae song called Hopes Up, and that's actually featuring Eli Oguma, who's a part of a band from Hawaii, which is where I'm from, called Sing the Body. And they're Nahoku Award winners, and Stephen Inglis, who's a Grammy-nominated guitarist. So it was really an honor that they agreed to do it. And
Wow.
the other track has my sister, who's playing cajon, one of those box drums, and she's doing background vocals. And a pianist on there is Sean Chu, who's a part of a band with the lead singer Amanda Frazier. And I believe their band is Ever After, and they're from Hawaii as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
So are you originally from Hawaii?
I am.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what brought you to the mainland?
The mainland. What made me leave paradise? It was the music. I wanted
Okay.
to check out the music scene up here.
Uh-huh.
And I ended up loving it, so I stayed.
And you've been here for how long?
2 years now.
Okay. Well, you like it a lot?
I do.
And you have family here too, or families back home on the island?
I still have my family back home in Hawaii. My mom, my dad, and my 2 sisters, and also my uncle's there now. And my auntie and uncle, and my aunties and uncles on this is all my mom's side, so they're all up here, and my cousin. So
Okay.
it's really fun.
Well, that's good. That's always great. I think when you can have family around to be supportive, especially when
yeah.
you're, in kind of not necessarily a foreign land, but if you don't know people, it could definitely be hard, especially on the music scene. Really tough here, and if you're not catching really many breaks, it can be difficult. I know a lot of
It
people,
does.
artists struggle. So it's great that you have support. I think that's great.
It does get really difficult. It takes its toll, but yeah, like you said, it makes a huge difference having everybody here.
Great.
Now, when you came over here, how much money did you have in your pocket?
Oh. I would say around like 4 something.
Yeah.
400 something.
Okay, I always hear stories when people travel and they leave their home because they want to, try something better or do something better. They always say, I came with this much money, and then they like made it, and it's like, yeah, you started with $12. All right.
Yeah.
That's cool.
I would say I started around $400.
$400, okay.
Still not bad. I mean,
Yeah.
it's
Ain't too shabby. I couldn't complain.
it's a humble start. I mean, especially for LA where we are. I mean, the cost of living here is ridiculous.
Yeah.
So, are you a musician who's also like, what's your 9 to 5? I mean, are you a waitress, or I mean, is it the stereotypical? Are you working, going to school?
I finished college in Hawaii, and that's when I decided to come here for the music thing. And right now, that's all I've been doing is playing music.
Great.
Yeah.
Is Joni a Hawaiian name?
No. What's funny is it's not even my legal name. It's like nowhere in my legal name.
Okay.
It's a
Okay.
nickname from my grandmother.
Oh, that's cool. What's your legal name, or is that like private
Confidential.
information? Confidential.
Marianne.
Marianne.
Okay.
Marianne.
That
Yeah.
still doesn't sound very Hawaiian either.
That's not Hawaiian either.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have a Hawaiian name.
So how'd you get the nickname Joni? Like how'd that come about?
My mom was very determined to leave the hospital with me having a name, so I'm named after her, like her exact name, Marianne Flores Llamedo. And my grandma was like, I'm not going to call her that. I was just going to call her Joni. So it just stuck. I
It
guess.
stuck. Okay, that's pretty cool. Do you have a nickname?
I do have a nickname. I mean, my Jason first name, last name Morales. People call me JMO for maybe the past, 15 years now. It just kind of stuck. So I go by JMO. That's just kind of the name that's been given to me. I like it. It works.
Okay, for sure. Yeah. My nickname is Pakman.
Yeah.
Probably I'll know that.
No, I like it. I mean, when I send you texts, I call you Pac-Man. So
Yeah.
I like the Pac-Man name.
And that came from Paco in Mexico. They call Francisco's Paco. So, I just decided to call myself Pac-Man. But anyway, so moving on, we're actually going to discuss a little bit of the topics that we had in mind. We want to talk about the most epic shows that we have been to. And I'm going to go ahead and start it off. This has been one of the shows that has really, really just blown my mind musically. As you guys all know, I'm very into music. And I went to go watch the Blue Man Group a couple years ago. And the way they were just creating music with such random objects and different ways of doing things, it was just that was it for me, man. And then the whole Blue thing, I'm sure it's uncomfortable doing that. So to be able to do that and keep the beat going and just be so creative with it, like, it was very impressive. So
I have heard that that's an incredible show to see. I haven't seen it myself, but being the fact that, I know it's been going for years in Vegas. I don't know exactly how long, but that's a show I've definitely wanted to see, and that's. I've yet to talk to anyone that's seen the show that has said anything bad about it. Everybody I talk to just says, just absolutely phenomenal, great show, high entertainment value, really, really good. So I definitely got to check that out. I mean, I'm glad that you gave it a thumbs up.
Yeah, man, definitely. I would definitely recommend it. And they make fun of people too, so that's it's a little bit on the comical side. There was a person that was late to the show and they just blew a spotlight right
so
on
they actually
them.
talk?
No, they don't talk.
I was gonna say I thought the whole thing was that they don't talk.
No, they don't talk. They
It's
make
just music, right?
Yeah, it's just music, and then they're creating beats and whatnot. But they still were able to add some comedy to it.
That's cool.
Somebody was late, and literally they just pointed a spotlight at them. Actually, I thought it was like rehearsed or something.
Right.
But
It might have been.
What about you?
Epic shows. Let's see. One that I really enjoyed was No Doubt.
Nice.
No doubt. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Now,
That
is
was
this like
awesome.
more recent No Doubt or early No Doubt?
More recent.
Okay.
I would say. Yeah. Maybe like within the past few years,
Mhm.
I think.
Where did they play?
They played in Hawaii at the Blaisdell
Okay.
Arena. Yeah.
Excellent.
And they were awesome.
Yeah.
Just the whole stage presence. It's unreal.
Cool.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of the earlier No Doubt. But like the last album, I gotta say I was definitely disappointed.
Really?
I mean, I only gave it a once through, but if it doesn't catch me on the first listen, I don't know if I'll give it much of a second chance. But I just compared to what they had put out before, and then I know they had a long hiatus. Gwen Stefani did her solo thing, but I was definitely disappointed with their last album.
I always feel like artists can't really come back. It's kind of hard for an artist to come back.
It's definitely difficult. I think you have to have some kind of epic breakthrough. I mean, I think, but then there's artists, they take like a long hiatus and then they come back. I will say like one artist that I'm a big fan of and I really want to see live, and they don't do live shows very often, but they'll take years between albums, is Daft Punk. So I wouldn't necessarily call that a leave and come back, but it's a really long hiatus. But one of the things I really appreciate about their music that I've noticed is that we talk about artists that kind of transcend time or that they're really ahead of their time with their music. And if for me, listening to their music, I mean, you could listen to their first album, Homework, and I mean, if any of those songs came out right now, they'd be an instant hit, on the pop charts, and they're still big hits today. So I think that's one of the few artists where they really are ahead of their time. And I think even today, people are still there's artists that are still trying to catch up to what they put out 15, 20 years ago.
Yeah, definitely. They actually have a big following of artists, trying to produce like they do.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I remember listening to them the first time, and I was just completely amazed by them. Any other shows that you guys could think of that?
I've seen quite a few shows. I will admit I've seen a widespread. I mean, if I told you some, I'll give you an example. Some of the artists I've seen. I've seen artists from. I think I told you I've seen Wu-Tang Clan. In the hip hop realm, I mean, Dilated Peoples, Slick Rick, The Roots. So I've seen a lot of like hip hop acts, but then I've seen the one group I've seen more than anyone else is Dave Matthews Band. I've seen Tom Petty, Aerosmith. So I've seen a pretty wide array of shows. Not any country artists. I will say, I think we kind of know if you watch the show, I'm not a big fan of country, or at least what's classified as country in this day and age. For me, I think probably one of the more epic shows I've seen. There's a couple. Definitely one was Tom Petty. I saw Tom Petty live at the Rose Bowl. Obviously, it was live. He had Steve Winwood opening up for him, who I really like Steve Winwood. He's got a very unique voice, and he was a great. It was surprising to me that he was an opening act because he's really a headliner. Tom Petty went and did an acoustic version of Free Fall, and just like him and the guitar, and it blew me. That song alone, just him doing that, without any of the background or anything, that made that show quite epic.
For sure. I could definitely see that. One artist that I really want to watch live, and I've seen their videos because they put together a video of like all their concerts, and they just seem so completely epic, is Coldplay. I don't know if you guys have.
I have seen like clips of their shows, and it does look like it's a very, very well put together show.
The lighting, the lasers, and then the energy that Chris Martin brings to the table. Like I said, I haven't even seen him live, but just looking at that video, it just inspires me to go watch them. As a matter of fact, I had a question for you. Was there a show that you watched that inspired you to get into music? I know you said, it was kind of like in your family, but is there one artist or show that you watched that was just completely, I want to do that. That's what I want to do.
I think because music has been so consistent throughout my life, it's just been a constant roller coaster. So I would say there wasn't that moment that like spark that I wanted to do it, as opposed to just like, am I sure? And the more challenges that face, then you see like how willing you are to overcome it. So those artists help you to overcome that. And I think the artists that I have witnessed come around, I guess you could say, or I've dived into their music and their lyrics, they inspire you to just keep pushing and stay true to yourself, and just like there's always going to be those roller coasters, and it's just how bad you want it.
Okay, for sure, yeah, that does make sense. Being your family, having that background of music, could definitely. I had a question for you. I heard that most families, when their kids are getting into music, most families discourage the kids and tell them like, oh, you sound bad or whatnot. Outside families, but families that are very into music, they're very encouraging. Would you agree with that or disagree with that?
My family was most definitely encouraging with the music aspect. I guess it's probably too just because it's been such a big part in my parents' lives,
Okay.
So, because my dad was a singer in the Philippines, so the fact that we were into it and we really liked it, they just, they supported us, and they just tried to get us, whatever we needed, and just tried to find us gigs and all that stuff. And yeah.
So they're just beyond supportive then?
Yeah, beyond supportive.
That's pretty cool. You know what? Talking about family and whatnot, we're going to move on to our next topic. And that was childhood memories and what we remember when we were little. And I'm going to have to say that as a Mexican, the thing that I remember the most...
You're going to play the Mexican card?
I'm going to play the Mexican card. Is being hit a lot. I was hit a lot. Almost on an everyday basis.
So your dad wasn't a drinker, but he didn't mind the violence.
Well, it wasn't even my dad.
Oh.
It's my mom. Calling you out, Mom. Love her to death. I deserved it.
I think we all deserved it.
Yeah, most of the time, I deserved being hit. But I think as a child, you need that type of discipline. I'm not against it. Obviously, if it goes beyond a certain extent, if parents cross the line or whatnot, then by all means, But for the most part, I think it's a good way to discipline a kid. You have kids, so
I do. And so when you have kids, are you a believer in spanking?
Yes.
Okay, because I am a believer in spanking. I do spank my kids. But go ahead.
Let me give you the reason why, though.
All right.
It happened to me, so I have to take it out on someone.
Well, wait, you had younger siblings to take it out on, though, right?
Oh, I had a baby sister, but she's so adorable. I couldn't.
And you have a brother too. Your brother.
I have a younger brother. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So I mean, come on. I mean that's what older brothers are for picking on little brothers, right?
Yeah. You know what? That's true. But my family, my parents raised us differently. My parents raised us to take care of each other.
Okay.
You know, every time there was a, like an argument or whatever, it's just like, no, you have to love each other and, do lovey things or whatever, instead of like arguing or whatnot. So
I think parents definitely do that. I mean, you have siblings. I mean, were your parents very like, okay, be nice, you guys are supposed to be friends with your siblings? You said, I know you mentioned you have at least one sister.
I have two older sisters.
Two older sisters, so
Yes.
you're the runt.
Yes, I am. They weren't. I mean, of course, they wanted us to get along. I think for a while, me and my oldest sister, we would always argue about anything and everything. But obviously, as we got older, all three of us are just close now. But what I can remember when we would fight is my mom would just be like, yeah, you want to fight? Go, get on the table. Get on the kitchen table. Go ahead, duke it out. She goes, I'll give you boxing gloves right now. That's how she was. And I was just like, all right, we'll stop. Like, this is getting weird.
But I think that's definitely every parent's wish is for their children to be able to get along. I was the oldest in my household. My brother and I are 3 years apart. He's 3 years younger, and I mean, I don't want to say relentlessly, but probably pretty close to relentlessly tormented him. And it wasn't out of spite or anger or anything. It's just like you pick on your little brother because you love him. I mean, that was just the way I did it. And I mean, outside of my wife, he's my best friend. So no offense to you. But my brother and I are closest buds, so that's we get along really well now. And even now, like if I hit him in the arm, he's still gosh, didn't you get enough of that when we were kids? Like he doesn't really like it. For me, one of my greatest memories was summertime. I mean, just summertime. I grew up on a small cul-de-sac, and luckily there were probably about like 3 other houses on the block that had kids around my age and my brother's age. So summer times on our small little cul-de-sac were great. There was maybe 20 houses on the block, so maybe 10 on each side, maybe not even that much. But there were a few houses, but we were probably halfway down the cul-de-sac, and we would play like over the line. I don't know if you ever played over the line. It's like a version of baseball, but you don't run the bases. You got a hitter, and then you have one infielder and one outfielder. And then basically, if you get the ball past the first guy, you get a single, and over the guy's head is a home run. So I mean, that's what we played. But we lived for like epic plays that somebody would hit it like foul onto somebody's yard, and we have to run and go make a diving play. Like we were going to be on Sports Center highlights, or if somebody hit it off the roof, then you'd play it off the roof, and you're trying to judge the angle and catch it in just the right spot. And then like once it got dark, we were playing hide and seek because it was a small cul-de-sac little neighborhood, and there was basically no traffic because by the time it was dark, everybody was home for the evening from work or what have you, and so we were hiding in people's bushes and our neighbors' backyards, or behind their cars, or under the cars, or over somebody's fence or on top of somebody's wall, and we play hide and seek until 11, 12 o'clock at night when people would tell us to be quiet and get to bed. But those were some of my greatest childhood memories. Was just the summer times. I think were just epic. We're talking about epic shows and summertime right now. I mean, for me, that was great. And to be able to have, I think, that small cul-de-sac little neighborhood community was great. And I haven't really found that since. We've moved, and we haven't moved into a neighborhood that was quite as friendly and welcoming. I mean, I remember when we moved into this neighborhood, our neighbors across the street welcomed us with a plate of cookies. And, after that, when we moved to the street where my parents live now, it was just nothing. I mean, it was cold. Nobody welcomed us or anything. So I don't know if your neighborhoods are like that at all, but I mean, I thought that was kind of disappointing.
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree with you. I've noticed that people, as we get older, people get colder and colder, and I think it has a lot to do with technology. Like everyone's just, even when you have dinner, even with your own family, you have dinner and like everyone's on their cell phone or whatever device. Definitely, technology has made us a colder society. What about you? What's your childhood memory that you can?
childhood memory.
Other than boxing it out on the kitchen table.
Oh, besides that, that's the main one. One funny moment that I always remember was my parents owned a commercial cleaners in Hawaii, and a lot of times they were there just the whole day, and it was me, my sisters, and my cousins. So one day we're up in the office, and it's like those stick-on like tile floor kind of looking things, you know. And we got into a bottle of baby powder, and we poured a little, and you could like, and it was like slippery. Like, oh, this is cool. Like, wow, all right. We poured more, and then before we knew it, the room was filled with baby powder, and we're skating across the floor.
Oh man,
It was bad. It was bad. So much fun. So worth it.
So
I
worth
bet.
it. So there was
So worth
repercussions
it.
from that, I imagine.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. Yeah, as far as like discipline, I would say like the whole spanking thing, it was never really my parents' thing, but it was my grandparents. So anytime we got busted, like especially at that cleaners, because we would always be in the office, he would come in and, you know, it's Filipino grandpa, bust off his slipper, you know, and he's like ready to smack us. We're like, oh, let's jet it. And we all just split.
I will say this to touch back on the topic. I do not enjoy spanking my kids. I mean, I really don't like to do it. I don't really necessarily want to do it, but to me, I mean, for me, that was discipline that like struck fear in me, and I want my kids. I love my kids, and my kids know I love them, but I also want them to kind of fear and respect me at the same time too. And I think you need to have that balance. I mean, as much as I want my kids to love me, I don't want them to grow up me needing to be their friend. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's, you know, where I think a lot of parents kind of lose a disconnect. Like they're too busy trying to be the kid's friend to get the kids to like them and to love them. And I think you got to realize once they get to those teenage years, they're probably going to hate you for a couple of years.
And that's okay.
Yeah, and I think that's okay. But, you know, I usually, you know, I'll sit down and I'll tell my kid, look, I'm going to spank you because this, and this is why you're getting this, so you understand. And then, you know, they'll get a spanking. But unless, you know, one time my 2-year-old, he went into the street, and we were on a small little street, so it wasn't a big deal. But you know, I told him, you know, stay where you are, and he didn't listen, and then he got a whooping right away on that. I didn't have time to explain it to him, but and I think for that, I would like to think that the same goes for most parents. I don't think they really enjoy spanking, but again, a lot of times too, it's kind of reactionary too. If you get like, you know, I think your reactions to listen to me, you know, you didn't listen, here's your punishment.
I think it's funny when parents say, "This hurts me more than you."
Right.
Like, you don't know that.
I don't think that. No, I know it hurts them.
Yeah, I like the combination of what you guys said, though, about the fact that, you know, having that boundary, having that line, like they need to know, because discipline is very important. And it's a lot of people say, oh, well, that's violent, but it's like, no, if there's a certain, you know, there's a limit. Like, you know, you don't cross that boundary like where you're just like hurting your kid just to hurt him. Like, it's just to make a point. And, you know, you don't take it so far, like how you said.
Right.
Yeah, definitely. I have a story about that actually, because my mom, the thing that she would do is like, let's say I was doing something bad, and my sister or my brother were present, you know, in that circumstance or whatever's. My mom would tell the other, "Oh, go get a belt so I can spank your brother." So my brother or my sister would go and look for the softest belt, and then my mom would tell him, like, either bring me a good one or you're getting it too.
Oh, wow.
So they would go back, get a good one. Like, I'm so sorry. You know, and it was funny because, you know, we would always like try to like, you know, protect each other when it came to getting spanked. Question for you guys. I don't know if you got spanked. I know you kind of said you didn't, but the times that you guys did or something happened, what was the worst thing or worst object that you guys, you know, were hit with, I guess?
And I was going to bring this up because I was never spanked with objects. I was never hit with a bell or a huarache or a slipper or anything like that. My dad's hand came down like the crash of Thor's thunder. I mean, it was just like, Oh, I mean that hand would put the fear of God in me. So that was the only thing, and I specifically remember one time because my parents definitely didn't hit us very often. We didn't get spanked very often, and my mom never would. All she had to do was threaten, like, do you want me to call your father? Do you want him? Because my dad worked nights. Do you want him to come home from work right now? I was like, no. And then we listened because we knew if that was coming home, that was pretty bad. But I do remember specifically one time, he grabbed me by the arm, and I know I'm going to get a spanking. So I'm running like this, like trying to move my ass so that he doesn't get it at the same time. But I do remember one particular time I got a whooping that was worth it. And all it was my dad's hand. And my brother doesn't remember this to this day, but I'll never forget. So this must have been in the 80s, and I was up one night, and The Karate Kid was on TV. So I watched The Karate Kid. Epic movie, Ralph Macchio, you're the man. And so the next morning, I told my brother, I was like, oh, man, I saw the coolest movie last night. I got to show you this. And I was like, look, just stand right there. I'm going to show you this. I'm going to show you this thing. It's called the crane kick. So he stood right there, and I just... I unloaded a kick right in his mouth, and he went running to my dad. I don't remember if he was bleeding or not, but I know obviously he was crying. He's 3 years younger. I just whipped him with my big foot right in the mouth, and I got a whooping for that. So that was one I definitely remember, that particular instance.
Oh, man, that's hilarious. Here's my story with my little brother. One time, he comes up to me, and, he's a little one, so my parents just adored him, and he was right about everything. I don't know if you guys experienced that. You were the little one, so...
I was the
Okay. So he's the little one. He comes up to me, and he has a rubber band, and he points it at me. He stretches it out, points it at me, and tells me, haha, I'm going to hit you in the face. And I tell him, dude, that rubber band's going to break. You're going to hit me in the face for real. It's going to hurt me, and I'm going to get pissed. He's not like, haha, he's just like messing around, like, haha. The rubber band breaks, hits me in the face. I get up.
a prophet.
I know. I get up, and I cuss him out. And in my family, we don't cuss. So it was a big deal. He starts crying. He runs to my mom and tells my mom, Paco cussed me out. How dare he? Because I said the F word. Like I said, we don't cuss. My mom comes and spanks me.
For saying the F word.
For saying the F word.
And not for you getting the rubber band in the face.
Exactly. I thought that was the funniest thing in the world. I actually mess around with him to this day. Like, I point things at him. I'm like... Funny times. All right, so once again, childhood memories. What are some of the things that come to mind when you guys were little? Because I know we've been discussing a lot of the spanking and a lot of the mean things about our childhood. What about some of the beautiful memories that we have?
Well, I'd like to hear from Joni. I mean, things must have been different. No, was this the big island that you grew up on?
Oahu.
On Oahu, okay.
Yeah.
So I mean, definitely a different. I mean, people dream of living on an island. I mean, but what was childhood like for you? Your childhood growing up on the island?
Childhood on the island was a lot of going to the beach, weekly. That was nice. I do miss that. Paying for parking here is a little brutal.
Oh my gosh! Don't get me started on paid parking.
Yeah, at the beach, it's a little sad. But
I mean, in California, you still have the beach right next to you, though, right? I mean, that's...
Yeah, and see, that was the whole thing. Everybody's like, you're gonna miss the beach, you're gonna miss this, you're gonna miss that. I was like, dude, there's beaches all over California. And I went.
They're not as beautiful as Hawaii, I will say.
They're different.
Yeah.
They're most definitely different. I went to Huntington Beach. My boyfriend and his best friend took me.
Mm-hmm.
And so we went to Huntington Beach, and all three of us go up to the water. And I was like, what's that smell? And then he's all, he was like, oh, that's just the water. I was like, oh, okay. And the waves, like the break is so close to shore, and it's a little more rough.
Right.
And these things just start floating in the water, and these little white things. And then I asked my boyfriend, I'm like, hey, what is that? And he told me, he's like, oh, they look like little white crabs. I was like, yeah, I think I'm done. And I just ended up
So your boyfriend's
walking
a California native?
He is.
Okay.
He is, yes.
Well, and Huntington Beach is considered. I mean, if you get closer to Long Beach and you get closer to the port, I mean, you almost don't want to go in the water. It gets it's pretty murky, and the smell is definitely there. you get people that go to the beach there still, I think, because it's close by, but the water is definitely a little dirtier. The further south you go, the better. I mean, if you go into Newport, even going down to like Dana Point or further south, Oceanside, the water definitely gets a lot better, even warmer as you get closer to the equator. But there's a lot nicer beaches. Huntington Beach, I mean, for us, I mean, it's a nice beach, but having been to Hawaii myself, it doesn't compare. And that's one thing I never realized. I mean, I've only been to Hawaii once. My wife and I went on our honeymoon to Maui. And I do remember that about the waves, is that the waves break a lot further out, you know, from shore. I didn't even put it together until you mentioned it right now, that the waves break, you know, a lot closer to shore here. Whether it's high tide or low tide doesn't really make a big difference. But I mean, do you know anything about that? Why they break further out away from the shore?
No, I have no idea.
Okay.
It's just it's, you know, the fact that I came here and I could see the differences and that whole thing. See, the thing about the beaches here, though, it's not necessarily that, you know, I would say, oh yeah, well, Hawaii's beaches are better. It's just I just feel like, oh, I'm not used to it. I mean, because you go to the beach and everybody's jumping in there, it's fine. Like, but yeah, I wasn't used to it when I first came, and I was like, oh, and it's colder.
Right.
The water is much colder.
But I like when you could find like too in Hawaii, like you could find like if you like really look for it, or if you ask around, you could find a nice little like cozy little cove or like a rare spot where there's like maybe 2 or 3 other people, or you're lucky you could even get out there by yourself. And I love that. I mean, I thought that was just awesome.
Yeah.
One of the things I've heard about Hawaii, I've never been there myself, but I heard that you could see straight down to the sand.
Oh,
Yeah.
some beaches, yeah.
Yeah? Oh,
Yeah, and more towards the shore. Yeah, let's see, maybe Ko'olina on a nice sunny day, you can see clear through the water.
Yeah, that
really
to me
nice.
sounds amazing. I think that's something I'd like to experience. And I always thought, you know, the beaches here, you couldn't do that because it was just dirty. Mm-hmm. But apparently it has nothing to do with that. Apparently it's just...
I don't think so. I think the water is just different.
Yeah,
I
that's
do.
just
I mean, the water here, I mean, let's not be naive. It's definitely more polluted than in other parts. But I mean, the water is definitely different. Yeah.
Okay, for sure. So, anyways, one of the childhood memories that I could remember that was pretty precious to me was working when I was little. And you guys might, you know, once again, going back to that Mexican thing. Mm-hmm. My dad did a lot of gardening, so, you know, he would take us with him, and he would never let us work.
You just had to sit there and watch.
No, me and my brother would play soccer all the time. So we were there with him to help him, and we'd go up to him and tell him like, "Hey, what do you need? You know, let us help." You know, it's like, "Oh no, it's okay, it's okay." So we would play soccer. He'd come back around and tell us, "Why aren't you working?" Like, we just asked you. But honestly, I think that to me that's a great memory, because I feel that it's made me who I am today, and I'm a really hard worker. Mm-hmm. And I think that's why, you know, like my dad, just seeing my dad work so much has really pushed me to, you know, be a hard worker and just try to achieve. And
I think your work ethic definitely comes from your parents. I mean, not that that's the only contributing factor, but I think when you have positive role models like that, or even like an aunt or an uncle, a grandma and grandpa, somebody that, you know, as a child that you look up to and you respect, you know, when you see that kind of hard work, I mean, my dad worked, you know, he didn't have a great job. He was a restaurant manager, but I mean, he'd start at 4 o'clock and he'd end 11, 12 o'clock. And weekends, sometimes he wouldn't get home until after 1 o'clock, depending on, you know, how late the restaurant closed. So I knew he was tired, but yet regardless, he would still, you know, get up the next morning and go get us donuts, or, you know, if it was on the weekend, or make us breakfast or get us ready for school. And my mom worked tirelessly too. You know, she went without a college education and now making, you know, she's in a nice, you know, 6-figure position. So she does, you know, really well for herself. And you know, now they're both doing really well. And I think that just goes to show that, I mean, hard work really does pay off. So that they definitely, both of them have inspired me to be a hard worker. And I think it's definitely really important. And I try to instill that in my children as well. I was doing some prep work for this show and I was on my laptop, and so I, you know, my kids just, you know, they wanted to know, you know, what I was doing. I said, "Oh, you know, I'm doing some homework right now." You know, I said, "Just give me a couple minutes, and then, you know, we'll play for a little bit." And I felt bad. And then so my older boy Gabriel, he has like this little toy laptop that like helps him with his ABCs, kind of like a speak and spell, but not really. And so I say, hey, what are you doing, Gabriel? I'm doing my work. I'll be with you in a minute.
That's a good one.
I felt bad.
Yeah, no, but that's good because kids, they follow an example. Like, you know what I mean? Like they see something and they want to do it. So I think that's important. What about you? Any other memories right before you're about to perform?
Well, just to link in with what you guys were talking about work ethic and it being passed down, from your parents. And I think the work ethic, even with both my mom and my dad, what's funny is that commercial cleaners, we were working there since we were small.
Okay.
And they'd be like, oh, do you want to fold towels for like $5? And we're like, what? $5?
$5?
Heck
Hell yeah.
About that. And there's like a vending machine.
Give me a Abba Zabba.
Yeah. And so my grandma, I remember her talking to me about, this was when I was already in college, and she was talking about what I wanted to do with my life, and, that I can choose whatever I want to be, just whatever I choose, just do it to the best of your ability. And I think that same, thing passed down to my mom because she's a very hard worker. My dad, he's, probably the hardest working guy I know. And he didn't grow up very like well off, he's from the Philippines, but he worked to make the best of, he made the best of everything he had. And he said from as soon as he started working, and he started working when he was young, whether it was taking pails of water to the neighbors or whatever. I think he was saying his teacher in the Philippines gave him a key to the classroom to go in early to draw the diagrams for the lessons of class. So he would go in early and draw it, and they would give him some money to do that. And he said ever since he was working getting money, half of what he got went straight to his parents.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so it's just, my parents amaze me with their work ethic, and I try my best to live up to that.
It's funny that I mentioned that because, I've always heard that Mexicans and Filipinos are very similar.
Really?
Yeah, and they always say that Filipinos are the Mexicans from Europe or whatnot. And that's very similar to what I grew up with. My dad, he started working when he was 8 years old, and he would provide for his family and whatnot. So it's funny that you say that. But anyways, we're gonna go ahead and give Joni a chance to go ahead and get ready. If you wanna head on over to, go ahead and start getting ready, and we're gonna move on.
A question for you, and we all kind of want to touch back on the Epic show thing. Is there a show that you've been to that was maybe unexpected, something that we wouldn't have expected you to go to? Maybe it was like a Britney Spears concert or something like that?
I went to a Sade concert.
Oh,
I went to a Sade concert, and that's
how awesome was that?
It was pretty awesome. I'm not very much into Sade.
I'm not very much into Sade, but the few songs I've heard, I do enjoy, like that jazz, that her smooth jazz. I enjoy it. Anytime I hear a song by her, I don't have any albums, but my buddy Ray is a big fan of Sade, and he's a big fan.
Oh, for sure. And the thing that was unexpected was that John Legend opened up for her.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, and I was amazed by John Legend.
I really enjoy him. I admit that his first album, I was a little disappointed. It wasn't, for me, it wasn't as soulful as I thought it was going to be. But it was definitely good. I don't know if you want to go ahead and set up the camera, if you want me to carry the show a little bit, or sure. do whatever you want. So I did go, one of the other shows that for me that was pretty epic that I really enjoyed was I actually got to see the reunion of, that's a pretty good close-up there. I got to see the reunion of Rage Against the Machine. It was the Rock the Bells tour, and so this was a huge show. Epic headliners. A lot of people were at this show. But so Wu-Tang wasn't even the headliner, and so they were there and they played it. And I would definitely say that seeing a hip hop act at a big venue like that, not as good as seeing it at a smaller venue like the Wiltern or House of Blues or some, the Palladium, some small venue like that. Definitely better for a hip hop show. But after Wu-Tang came on, then Rage Against the Machine, and this was their first like reunion with Zach De La Rocha after they'd split up. And so it was at the used to be called the Blockbuster Pavilion. It's now, I think, the Glen Helen Amphitheater. It's out in San Bernardino. And so there's a big lawn area. It's like an amphitheater. There's a big lawn area. Then there's a bunch of seats below that. So in the lawn area, there was just these people were just putting together these giant piles of trash that had accumulated all day and were setting fires. So there was like 3 or 4 bonfires set up on the lawn, but it was like styrofoam. And so the fumes were just, they almost, if you weren't high from secondhand marijuana, you were getting high off the styrofoam catching fire. So that was a crazy show to attend. That was really good. Seeing Roger Waters perform Dark Side of the Moon without the rest of Pink Floyd. Actually, Nick Mason, the drummer, did perform with them too. That was a pretty epic show to attend also. But I've been to a lot of different shows. A couple weeks ago we had Rustic Rye on here. A small local band that's up and coming, a quote unquote Mumford and Sons meets Flogging Molly kind of sound to them. They were really cool too. So again, Emix Radio LA, thank you very much for joining us. We are not done yet. We have an epic performance coming to us from Miss Joni Llamedo. So I will turn it over to you.
I'm your dance machine, if you know what I mean. I'm your 5-foot-something drama queen. Got an icy glare, say that you don't care. But tell me what you want, cause I'm halfway there. Never walking you walk, just a talking you talk. Now in you win again, I know you got to go. Say it ain't so, baby. Got me doing all the things you want me to. Saying what you will to never follow through. Use me to abuse me. Surprise you didn't lose me. And all you can say is do. I'm your dance machine, if you know what I mean. I'm your girl, not good for anything. Got the words that sting, you got me in the ring. But giving just a scratch don't mean nothing. Never walking you walk, just talking you talk. Now ain't you win again, I know you got to go. Say it ain't so, baby. Got me doing all the things you want me to. Saying what you want to never follow through. Use me to abuse me. Surprise you didn't lose me. And all you can say is do. It's funny how you got me wrapped around your finger. It's funny how it's only my fault to remember. Always trying to be the one to chase. But what you didn't know is, baby, I already won the race. You had me doing all the things you want me to. Saying what you want to never follow through. Use me and abuse me. So sorry, honey, but you lost me. Now all I can say is do. it goes again. Laughing about the night that we just had. You make it good to be so bad. 'Cause though times are a little crazy, situations a little hazy, don't matter to me, don't matter to you. I'm not looking for no wedding ring, just a catchy little song to sing while I smile. 'Cause you got me and I got you. I got you. Oh, this is the first time that we're apart. It weighs so heavy on this heart. I know it's hard because I couldn't stay, but I know we'll both be counting the days. 'Cause the times are a little crazy, situations a little hazy, don't matter to me, don't matter to you. I'm not looking for no wedding ring, just a catchy little song to sing while I smile. 'Cause you got me and I got you. You're always trying to make me smile. You know it's been working for a while. And all this talking to me every day, boy, you make me glad I'm coming home to stay. 'Cause the times are a little crazy, situations a little hazy, don't matter to me, don't matter to you. I'm not looking for no wedding ring, just a catchy little song to sing while I smile. 'Cause you got me and I got you. You got me, you got me, and I got you. You got me, yes you got me, yes you got me. I got you.
This next one is another original called Like to Beg.
Baby, I'm trying to leave you alone. Can't help but beg you and not to walk out the door. Stop my lying and hiding and cheating. Now I'm crying, begging, baby, please let me stay. Because I don't like to beg, but please, baby, you got me down on my knees. Tell me you want me, I'm what you live for. Just don't tell me that you don't love me anymore. I know I've hurt you in so many ways. All those restless nights 'cause of games I play. Give me a second chance, baby, just one last dance. Don't walk away. Please, please let me stay. Because I that you don't love me anymore.
Sure. Yeah. Do you prefer another original?
Yeah.
Yeah? All right. Okay, I'll do a little short one then. Is that cool? Yeah?
Yeah, for sure.
All right, this one is called Be Love. A little short and sweet.
It's funny how the world works sometimes. It's funny how the fun you makes time fly. It's funny when you kiss me, 'cause I can tell you miss me. Who knows, this just might be love. I never thought I'd smile when my day was tumbling down. All I need to know is that you're coming around. Don't you make that face, 'cause my heart's starting to race. Who knows, this just might be love. Who knows me better than you? So you should know that I'm crazy about you. What to do, what to do. It's funny how the world works sometimes. It's funny how the fun you makes time fly. It's funny when you kiss me, 'cause I can tell you miss me. Who knows, this just might. I'm thinking this just might. Lord, I'm praying that this is love. Oh, be love.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for joining us for another week of Emix Radio with your host, Paco Pakman Sandoval. I am Jason, and with us today was our very special guest, Joni Llamedo. Joni, thank you so much for joining us. We wish you wonderful success. We're going to put up Joni's information, her Facebook page, and if she has any shows coming up, we'll be sure to post that as well. But check her out on her Facebook page, and we will see you guys next week with maybe a new guest, Pakman and I, and a new batch of whiskey. Have a great week, everybody.